that dream car a reality. Why? Because you're worthy of the best.
What's going on, good people? I'm actually trying multiple things here and trying to go live with this platform, just seeing how it goes. You know, when you see the glasses, it's it's reading time. And usually I've decided to use the green ones today to actually talk about what's going on with our financial cleaning, our financial spring cleaning. So I give you today I want to share with you some of the things that what's talking about in the news that gets me up at night. So let's see what they're talking about today. As we continue to understand what in the world is going on, said Marvin Gaye. So, as I'll sit here and enjoy my fat boy ice cream sandwich, you shall enjoy the news of what's going on.
On the economy and today's inflation numbers,
Please
our
let
next
me
guest
know
says the
if you
Middle
can
East
hear this
conflict will
clearly.
exacerbate economic headwinds, making the outlook for the year a bit less favorable. Joining me now is Gregory Daco. He is chief economist at EI Parthenon. Great to see you, Greg. And, I guess arguably you've seen this stagflationary wind kind of blow through the economy. At least we expect it to have that effect. What does it
Curious
mean,
to
do you
see
think
what
we're
this
going to
looks
settle
like
out in
on
terms of
the
a growth rate and in
Instagram.
terms of an inflation pace?
Well, I think as your prior guest was saying, we have to be very cautious about the underlying assumptions as to how the Middle East conflict will evolve. But I think it's important to remind everyone that we are in this multidimensional shock environment where it's not just about one particular supply shock, but it's really the confluence of supply shocks, from the trade shock and the tariff shock to the immigration shock to the positive AI shock, and now this Middle East conflict, that are all affecting the US economy. And if we look out over the rest of the year, we're anticipating US growth to actually decelerate to around 1.5% by year end, which would be a fairly slow pace of growth, with inflation rising towards 4% and ending the year around 3%. So we're going to be in an environment that feels somewhat more stagflationary. It's not outright stagflation, but it is an opening to a potential further downside shock in terms of economic activity.
Yeah, I was going to say 5% plus nominal GDP when, almost 4 percentage points of it is coming from inflation is sort of a less comfortable way to get there than we've become used to. What does that mean for policy, in your view, for the Fed?
Well, I think generally speaking, we've heard from many Fed policymakers that it's prudent to await more information as to how the Middle East conflict will affect economic activity and inflation. The minutes from the March FOMC meeting had a bit of a hawkish tilt to them, with essentially this focus on the fact that inflation remains above the desired 2% target, and that there will likely be further inflationary pressure. So I don't think we should expect any type of move from the Fed over the coming months, because we are in this environment where inflation is likely to move in the wrong direction. And most Fed policymakers appear content with what they call a balanced labor market. I would tend to view the downside risks to the labor market as being dominant, but the dominating view right now amongst Fed policymakers is that downside risks to the labor market are not as present as some may believe. So we're likely to see a hold when it comes to the Fed for the foreseeable future.
How would you characterize the fortunes of the consumer right now in aggregate? Because we did see a decent personal spending number. Obviously, people have been talking about the tax refund bump we're getting in the first part of this year. On the other hand, kind of real income growth has been lagging to some degree.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the headline numbers this morning in terms of February consumer spending, even adjusted for inflation, were relatively healthy. But make no mistakes, increasingly, we're seeing consumers running on fumes. We're seeing an environment where if you look at real disposable income growth, it's trending around 1%, while consumer spending is trending around 2.5%. That means that consumers are increasingly dipping into their savings, using credit, and using wealth as a means to finance their outlays. Those are not infinite measures to sustain economic activity. And I'll tell you one more thing that I think is quite telling. When it comes to tax refunds, on average, for every family across the US, you're going to see tax refunds around $300 per household. In terms of the energy shock that has already occurred from the Middle East conflict, you're going to see a hit of about $350 negative.
Greg, 1 second. Sorry about that. Just stay right there. We are looking at marketing agency Jack Morton ringing the closing bell at Cboe in Chicago. That ends the regular trading day for options. Apologies, Greg. You're just talking about how essentially the energy cost increases is going to offset that tax refund effect.
That's right. We are going to see essentially the energy shock from the oil price increase and gas price increase more than offset the increase in tax refunds from the One Big Beautiful Bill. So we should be very cautious about any significant tailwind coming from these larger tax refunds.
And I guess what is, when you talked about your projections for the year, the 1.5% real and then inflation going higher, what does that bake in terms of where oil prices go from here?
Well, essentially, our baseline case is that we see average oil prices on a Brent measure that slide down to around $85 in the third quarter, and then further down towards $80 by year end, which would still be about $15 higher than they were pre-conflict. So that is a baseline assumption. But let's not forget, a couple of days ago, oil prices were trading around $110 per barrel. So there could very well be a downside risk where inflation rises towards 4.5%, maybe 5%, and where growth actually falls below 1% in that type of scenario.
And then I guess you can kind of go a couple of moves down the board on that in terms of yields remaining a little bit elevated, at least relative to where people were hoping they'd be, mortgage rates following, and the housing market getting a little bit stuck in there.
Yeah, that's really the key issue in this environment, is that what we're seeing in terms of interest rates is unusual. Usually when you have a geopolitical conflict, you tend to see downward pressure on long-term yields as there is a safe haven flow into treasuries. That has not occurred this time around. We've seen pricing of fewer rate cuts by the Fed lead to upward pressure on long-term rates. We've seen higher inflation expectations push higher long-term rates. And we've also seen questions around fiscal sustainability and Fed influence pressure long-term rates higher. So the confluence of higher inflation and higher interest rates is going to continue eroding growth momentum and lead to slower growth as we navigate through the rest of 2026.
So with that being said, it shows as if we have a small dilemma in the midst, which is people are overspending. People don't have enough in the world. And we're constantly hearing about this day in and day out. So, how do we continue to be in charge of what it is that we do with our finances? How do we start thinking about things differently? How are you approaching your finances differently this particular spring, shall we say? And what I have for you today, as I fix my glasses here, is a little read that I've gotten from the Susan of Omen. She states back in back in the 2002, in her New York Riverhead books, she states here about your home free. In the long run, if money is expected to be tight, the sooner you pay off the mortgage, the better you off you'll be. Miss Susan of Omen, who does she think she is? Let's continue to read. The other aspect to doing so is that nothing will make you feel more secure than owning your own house outright, knowing you have a place to live that no one can take away from you. Instead of being like the peasants that are out there that don't own anything. own your own home. So by saying that, as she quotes here, all of my elderly clients have said that it is the best thing they ever did. Huh. Who knew that this is the way to the financial wealth and well-being into retirement? And let's continue to read, see what she says, because things are going to get wild. Mhm. And she continues. For that matter, many of my younger clients worked hard to pay off their mortgages early as well. For the emotional strain of paying off that comes from owning your home outright. This is what the young ones are doing. Who knew? When you're younger, it is better to invest that extra money for growth rather than use it to pay off your mortgage early. It depends. That's what most financial players say. But I digress. Let's continue. If the idea of owning your home, your house, your dwelling, your castle outright makes you feel safe and powerful, as most kings and queens do, then that's the way you ought to go. Okay, Miss Susan of Orman, let's continue. If you have the discipline and the tenacity to invest your money for growth, follow through on your instinct with focus and determination. This is what this podcast is about. Focus and devotion. Are you devoted to yourself, or are you focused on your finance? We shall see. It's not up to me, it's up to you, my people. I have found that the people who follow a course towards wealth and financial freedom have the courage to be rich, the courage to plan for tomorrow. Now, this is from Susie of Orman, talking from The Courage to Be Rich. It is a book on page 277. Ho, ho, ho. So we do have a question here that, as we shall see on the gram of Insta, and they have here, I asked the question to the Instagrammies, or shall I say the Grammys. The Grammys say there's one person who calls herself Meek Meek 007. Or shall we say 007. She says, I'm happy with my TSP isn't taking a hit. I fully expected to see a significant decline. I'm earning dividends on my stock. Oh. Well, la di da. Some of us are actually feeling the pinch, while others, as Meek Meek in 007, is, as you say, rolling with the homies and in the dough. I mean, and also she's enjoying her property taxes. Owning home is such a pleasure, as we read from Susie of Omen. Maybe she's laughing all the way to the bank, as we all would like to, but it is what it is, as they say. She says NOPE with a few exclamation points as if I couldn't read. But she says nope. She doesn't laugh to the bank. She squanders on over and throw coins at the beggars who dare ask her for some change for something to eat. Ugh, ugh, ugh. Who knew? Not I. And welcome to the show, Lisa J. Stacks. Who is the stocks of the Lisa? Welcome to the show and in the comments. Because today we are talking about the spring cleaning. And by doing so, we must have an understanding of what are we really doing. As I bring out the thick book, and that is with two C's. THICC. Okay. The thick book, Personal Finance 7th edition, because number 6 wasn't just doing it right. Anyway, let's see what the Meek has said. Oh, 007 has said from the gram of Insta. She says, no, I was saying that even once you own outright, property taxes can cause you to lose your home, your dwelling, your fantastic place of, shall I say, legacy in your name? Or would you call it the castle of Meek? Who knows? On 007, do you know the Muffet Man who lives on Drury Lane? We don't know. Well, maybe she will come back later and leave a comment. Who knew? Maybe she has a bob and going like beep, beep, beep. But there's one thing to think of. When you're in retirement, do you plan to pay for property taxes? Are property taxes in your favor? Does that determine on where you finally live? Or are you in your permanent home? Because they say the way to make the Lord, or shall I say, the God, laugh is to have a plan. Who shall have the last laugh? Death himself, who say you shall pay property taxes until you pass away. What if you have no legacy of person to share this with? What shall you do? What is your plan? Who knew? Who knows? What shall we do? Well, anyway, the Meek has laughed. And she is enjoying her robes, I assume. We like to make assumptions because we cannot predict the future. But I think the Meek might be in her robes with the champagne, or some call it the confidence elixir. Who know? Who knew? But I know what I have. It's in a solo cup. It's the elixir of the gods. So let's get back to our lovely reading for today. And yes, I plan to use this voice the whole time. because this is my show. I do what I want, and you can enjoy and bask in all of it. So, what is your question of the finance that we shall explore in the Personal Finance 7th edition? Granted, this book is pretty old, but the concepts and ideas and lifestyles are still the same. So, as I flip a page to the end of this book, talking about retirement planning, because that's what we're here for. And by definition of retirement, we have to first understand, what are we doing? Why retire? Why stop doing what we love to do? Who says that we cannot continue to be young and laugh at those peasants who begs for money from us as Queen or Lady Meek Meek 007 has said? She doesn't walk around to the bank. She laughs going to the bank. She laughs at her dividends. She enjoys having the property taxes because the dividends handle it all. But let's continue. The definition of retirement, according to the dictionary, something that we've all agreed upon once upon a time. I believe it was Sir Webster, who was bored one day and just said, you know what? F it. I'm going to just write down everything, every word that I think has meaning until somebody corrects me. It's in the book of Webster, and that's what he shall call it. So, by definition of retire, is to withdraw from the action or danger. What danger are you withdrawing from? Are you withdrawing from the danger of work? That's not righteous, because they say Jesus or Jesus was a worker. He was a carpenter. What are you making? What is in your wallet? Coin? What is in your purse, in your loins? This is the laugh of the royalty laugh. Practice on your laugh right now. Let's go. 1 and 2 and 3. Now that is your laugh of royalty. Let's continue. Looks like we have to find a new word to describe what people do when they leave a long-time employer or start withdrawing in pension. Who's giving out said pension? Who's paying this pension? I think you shall have a moment to think about if you even have one. Shall turn the page, figure things out, because we're here to learn about the spring cleaning. It is February 9th at the time of this recording. And in order to do your spring cleaning, you need to assess, where is your money? It's 8:24. Do you know where your money is? Do you? You must review your assets. Know where your housing is at. Do you know how much life insurance you have? Who has one out on you? Do your kids have one out? Does your employer Do you work for the Wall of Marts? Do you work for the Waldens? Who actually owns Walmart and Sam's? And a whole heap of other companies. So, let's think about it. Things you need to know for your assets, and let's review. Cash. Rules them all. Your investments. Where are they? Are they producing dividends like the Meek Meeks? The Meek Meek family has dividends. I want dividends. Get dividends from this Fat Boy ice cream that I was eating during the review. Fat Boy ice cream giving me dividends of laughter. Are your stocks giving you laughter? Let's continue. You have your life insurance. It's an asset. Company pension rates. Did your company fire you before you left? No pension for you. No, sir. No, ma'am. What is your property? House resale value. Remember, you still living in it. Does it really matter? Maybe. Your furniture and appliances. Can you sell it? Is that fridge still working? Is your fridge running? Well, you better go catch it. Where's my my jester when you need him? Because I need my jester. Where's that? And I do not see my thing. Yeah. Thank you, Jester. Finally getting there. All right. Your collections and jewelry. That's considered property. Your automobile with an S. I think the Meek Meeks might have automobiles with an S. You know, with the dividends. You might hear me say that often. It's because the dividend seems to be the way of the future, the way that people continue to live without working. It's because the dividends of the work that they put in. But let's continue. Their loan to brother. Oh, are you loaning money to thine neighbor? Are thine broke friend? Your peasant friend who owes you money? It is considered an asset. Still money on the books. Are you collecting? Are you collecting the residuals? Let's continue. What are your liabilities? What are your current unpaid bills? According to the news article, people are reporting spending more than what they earn, even with said dividends. Your home or mortgage remaining balance. How much do you owe? What's left? Your car loan, your automobile, your horses that need to be fed, the carriage that need to be weighed, the wheels. How much do you owe? Your property taxes. It should be its own line item. It's forever. Now we just talked about, depending on where you live, your property taxes shall be low. Your property taxes could be high. Oh, man. Some say that the assets are in half. Who has been through said divorce? Half your assets gone. half your work, half your pension, half your dividends. Gone. Half. As it they say, the J of the Z. She wants half. Or you can follow the advice from the west of the Kanye, who says, we want prenup. We want prenup. Yeah. That is one way to protect your assets. However, we're not talking about protecting. We must talk about what we have. Let's read and continue. This is why I love personal finance, because it's personal. This is a conversation between me and myself and maybe you. But this information is for entertainment purposes only. So please reach out to a professional that works out for you and your situation. Let's continue. Any divorce is difficult, particularly when it comes to a division of marital assets. Your pension benefits are considered marital property, which must must be divided in a divorce, depending on your state. Even if a person is not ready to retire, pension benefits are considered a marital asset subject to the division of property, says Howard Sharfstein, a partner of whatever. We don't care about this guy where he's from because we're not going to market for him. Any retirement fund money, including 401k or the profit sharing. Oh, so all of your hard work that you've done before reaching this divorce process is divisible by 2. Let's continue. Now that we know what our assets are, living expenses, because this is part of the spring cleaning. You need to know where your things are. Let me switch up my accents here. Your monthly expenses. In order for you to think about retirement, you need to think about your monthly expenses, which include your rent, your taxes. Let me give this to you so y'all can see this. Reading this from the gram of Insta, if y'all can see that. Apparently, there's a huge delay over there. So we have rent or mortgage payment. We have taxes. We have the taxes are what the peasants pay royalty people. And apparently I was giving them the wrong side of the page. So let's go this way. And apparently Instagram, it's hard to figure out where Instagram is seeing me. But whatever. Y'all see it. Continue. We got food, beverage, household operation, maintenance, furnishings and equipment, clothing, personal items, transportation, Medicare. Are you sick? Do you plan to be sick for your retirement? If not, continue. Recreation and education. Shall you have fun with the jousters today? Shall you hang out with the peasants who like to have fun instead of investing and enjoying the fruits of life? Or shall you just continue to rummage down the halls, wash your own clothes? Who does that? When you have retirement money and dividends to pay, you to pay somebody else. Yes. We gotta love it. We gotta love it. So now that we have our assets together, we already figured out what we want to do. How is inflation going to play out in the years to come? Question is, we don't know. But from past information, past conversation, past inflation numbers, it has always gone up around 3%. So if your money is not growing by 3%, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you really enjoying your life? Spring cleaning, spring cleaning. And the reason why I'm going through the retirement side of the house because some of y'all are planning for retirement. So that's what we're looking for. If you're planning for retirement right now, what is it that you're planning for? What do you want your retirement to look like? But in order to get there, this is the perfect time to sit down with your finances, get to know them, they know you, so that you can tell them what to do. Okay. Yeah, broke accent. All right, whatever. Anyway, hopefully I enjoyed the first half of the show because this is what we like to do. Have a little fun, talk about finances, and get to know your money a little better. Because I want you to get to know your money a little better because you build confidence that way. The way you build confidence is by having competence. Competence is having that education, that know-how, actually get to see things through and through, meaning that you've experienced it, you put your hands on it, you've touched it, you felt it, you know what it feels like to be broke, you know what it feels like to be rich, you know what it feels like to have a windfall, a shortfall, a loss of finances. You know what it means to actually have money, physical cash versus digital cash available. You know what it is to purchase a home. You know what it is to have a semi regular vacation. You know what it feels like to actually have a mini retirement. And what I mean by mini retirement is that when you go on these short little vacations that are about like a week long, that is really a mini retirement. Just think about your life being like that all day, every day. How can you achieve that? And that's what I want you to think about when it comes to spring cleaning your finances. You want to start looking into what is it that you need to do to kind of build the life that you want to have. But in order to do that, you need to figure out your baseline. That's why we talked about your assets, what you need, where things are. If you're going through divorce, you might not have everything that you planned. Your whole life has flipped upside downwards. Life happens. That is the purpose of really knowing what's going on. If you don't know what's going on and life happens to you, then you be like, man, what was me? I don't know how to pick myself up. I don't know what to do. I don't know where my stuff is at. And you got to start all over. However, you're not really ever starting over because you already built the muscle, you built the know-how, you've been through the mess. So now that you can be a messenger to the people who are actually going through it, even though you just gotten out of it, you can help those along the way. And by doing so, you need to figure out what it is that you're messing up on your finances. And I cannot tell you enough how many times I've had to start over, leaving from relationship to a relationship. Um, sleeping on just the futon on the floor with a lamp and some blankets. That's it. Or the air mattress that you try to inflate it, you think it's inflated, but you wake up, you're on the floor again. At that point, I think I did that. And I was like, you know what? I just said after I just kept it flat. And I didn't care just as long as I wasn't on the actual floor. So yeah, when I first moved out, yeah, I had a air mattress. And I think I still have that thing. And what was going through my mind then was like, hey, if all else fails, at least I got something to sleep on. I have some blankets. I was sleeping on the floor. I had a desk and a chair just so I can do my schoolwork at the time frame. So having that understanding that life can throw a lot of things at you. It's just how do you actually pick yourself up from it? What is your plan to bounce back? What are the things that are thrown at you that you have to dodge, you have to ignore, you have to kind of say, okay, this is where I need to be, and set up your boundaries. Remember, your boundaries are for you, they are rules for the onlookers. So when we start talking about, and you hear people talking about these boundaries to set up, especially when you're in your spring cleaning phase, they are just for you to follow. So if you say, like, hey, look, I don't drink anymore, you don't drink anymore. Your friends can drink. Now, will your friends offer you to drink? That's a rule for them to follow. Yeah, most people don't follow rules, but it's a boundary for you to say no. And that is one of the things about when your goals are set and you say, like, you know what, I'm not going out to any happy hours. I'm staying home. I'm cooking everything in the house. I refuse to buy anything outside, as far as like pre-made foods or fast casual foods, then that's what you're going to do. So setting up your boundaries while you're actually building up your financial spring cleaning, this is a key thing to do it. Okay, so now we talked about your assets, you know, everything is that. Let's start talking about what is actually siphoning your plan. What are those, how you say, subscriptions that you have right now that are actually in play? Take these glasses off. That's how you know it's serious. Um, so having an understanding of those things that are actually siphoning from your plan. What are those Amazon subscriptions? Everybody keep talking about, oh, you need to get Hulu, you need to get Disney, you need to get Max, you need to get Paramount Plus, you need to get Peacock, you need to get whatever type of platforms that are out there that are streaming. And they trying to say that you need to be part of that. You don't have to. You can either go ahead on and cancel everything. Say if there's a show that comes up and you're like, you know what? I got time today. Let me go on and sign up to get the free trial for 7 days, binge everything that you want to see, cancel the service. Nice and easy. Um, However, I know it says nice and easy. However, it's not that simple. What you have to do is make sure you set up as soon as you sign up, create something on your phone, some type of reminder, put it on the calendar, physical calendar that you have, to make sure you go ahead on and cancel that particular service before you get the full shot. That happened to me recently. I was trying to watch a show, trying to watch that documentary, that Price is Right documentary, thinking that I can get through it within 7 days. Um, did not. And they hit me up with the full $100. Am I pleased with it? No. I have a rest of the month to kind of finish out the rest of that that 2-part series. I know it's only 2 parts, but dealing with the podcast and trying to do all the other things really ate up a lot of my time, and it just really slipped my mind. I did not do what I said just now is the reason, because I'm also at fault too. I'm human, things happen. So that's something that's actually eaten away from my goal. Uh of things that I want to do for the far as like doing more traveling and actually getting ready for these conferences. So you got to think about those things. What are the things that are actually eating up from where you want to be today? And so that's just the subscriptions. We talked about food items that you can actually start setting up differently. Start doing meal preps. One of the things that I started doing was actually go to the big box stores and try to get like a big salad. And then maybe people keep saying, you gotta get the protein, get the animal protein. I tried it, got like some chicken breasts, and then chopped it up. That's my lunch slash dinner for the week. Um, I really only eat like one meal a day, and then I try to get like some trail mix to kind of keep me going throughout the day, just to kind of keep, you know. I guess I'll use the legumes and get the protein from that, just to kind of keep me going and my fingers moving. Because for me, when I'm focused, I need the like quick snack. I'm not sure about y'all, but I need something to do with my hands while I'm thinking or I'm in a deep thought. I could sit here and do this. And one of the reasons why I don't have nails is because I kept picking my nails when I'm nervous or I'm in deep thought. So that's the reason why, like, let me just go and get a trail mix, something that's a little healthier, because I could sit down and go through a bag of Skittles easy because it's small. something to think about. I can just kind of chew them, keep moving. However, it's not the healthiest. It's not good for my teeth. It's not good for my health. So that's the reason why I'm doing the trail mix. Um, but I digress. So when you start thinking about your habits and the things that you're dealing with day to day, your routines, now that you already got your financial story in play, what are the things that you have coming out per month? I want you to start thinking, zoom out a little bit. What are the things that are coming down annually? What are those things that are that you pay on an annual basis? Maybe you pay like your Amazon subscription. Look at how often are you really ordering from Amazon? Is it really worth having it the whole time? Me personally, I only use Amazon maybe 4 months out the year. So I only pay for those 4 months that I need it, and then I cancel the service. Like I'll buy, like I'll just think about things like books or so. I'll go ahead on and sign up for the service, $14. I'm like shipping is already like $20 for the things that I want. So the $14 made sense to go ahead on and sign up. I signed up, ordered my stuff, canceled the service. And that's it. Now the cool thing with Amazon is that even if you buy it and you go to cancel it, they'll keep the service for the duration of the time that you already paid for. If you pay for the annual service of it, they'll actually prorate you back to like the month that you're currently in. And then after that month, they'll just pay you back the rest, which I thought was actually pretty cool if you did an annual service. So that's just one example of the many services that are out there. If you have a cell phone bill, you can start looking at that differently. This is the perfect time to look at it because you got your dads and grads um, coming up because Father's Day is coming up around the corner in June. And then you also got graduation around that same month. And when you start thinking about what is it that you want your cell phone to be, I always recommend prepaid mostly because if you look at your actual plan, I'm not sure how many people actually look out that their cell phone plan. Look at your cell phone plan. Are you paying those monthly fees, like the what they call it? I don't know, the surcharge fee, and then locality fee, the 911 fee, and it's something else. There's a whole slew of fees that are associated with your bill if you're not really taking a look at it. I use prepaid mostly because there is no additional fees. It is what it is. One flat fee, call it a day. So I'm not going to market any ones that are out there. I mean, I can say the one that I use that I like. I like Verizon setup because Verizon has been working out really well. So that's pretty good. Okay, so you said Canva is one way of doing it. So Canva is something that can is an actual marketing tool, like an ad or like you can create so many different things with Canva. Even though Canva is free, if you want to utilize some of their services, you can actually pay for that or do their trial version, which is pretty cool. Just one of the tools, even with these AI tools that are out there. Are you subscribed to any of these AI tools that you're barely using? Because for me, if I was just paying for these AI tools, I'm like, look, y'all gonna automate everything around here. Give me an app right quick. I need an app for this, create an app for that. And the cool thing about it is like you can create apps for yourself. You don't have to put it on the market. You don't have to sell everything that you're excited about. Like just really enjoy having a good time with the products sometimes, you know? You don't have to own everything or have to market everything. Everything doesn't have to be for sale. So just enjoy it for yourself, make it work. Um, so we talked about some of the cost savings. Obviously, it's a good time to start looking at your credit. One of the things that I tell a lot of people is to start freezing your credit because if you're not planning on buying anything additional, just go down and freeze it. It's okay. The only time it actually impacts you is if you planning to purchase, planning to open up new lines of credit. If you're not planning to open up new lines of credit, you want to stay with your credit that you have, just lock it down. You can go to Experian, just Google or do any search browser, just say Experian freeze. I think if you actually log into Experian, they do have a freeze option. Equifax. Equifax has a different login for their freeze, different portal. So you have to actually go through the portal. They actually have a freeze portal for Equifax. If you do TransUnion, I believe they allowed you. They recently did an update, so you actually can freeze your credit directly through that particular program. So the benefit of having that is that people can't just go out here and try to open up new lines of credit for you, especially without you knowing. So that's one thing to look into. So we got your freezing your credit. Okay, so now you also got the loose change. Now that you've been putting all this together, you need to figure out what the heck you're going to do with this loose money. One of the things that it's highly recommended, highly talked about, which is actually having an HYSA, which is a high yield savings account. That one is usually about 7 times the current rate of what most banks are giving you. The big banks are giving you 0.01% on your money, meaning that they get to invest all the money, they get to make money for you, and then only give you that 0.01% back. As earlier from Instagram person said that they get about their dividends, and that's what they like to get. You can get some of those dividends too from some of these high yield savings accounts. Most of them, the latest ones I've seen are around like 4.7% that they give you for the dollars that you put in there. So I want you to start making some money. I guess you could say one of my clients, I think it's like 22 at the time when I told him about a high yield savings account. He just had like $10,000 just sitting around in a regular savings account. I told him to switch it over to a high yield savings account. He actually had to file taxes on the dividend, say, yeah, because he made over $600 just in that year just by having the money sit there. He wasn't doing anything but besides just go to work and doing what he was normally doing. But because the money was sitting there, he was like just making some free money. Like, let that be that opportunity to start making money so you can actually start planning those trips for your family that you want to have. Also, if you're looking to try to save up for that seed money, look at your budget. Let's see what extra money that you got. And I call this the seed money because will help you start saving up for your investment. Because some people say, like, oh, I don't have money for invest. I don't have money to invest this and that. You might not have money to invest right now, but you will have money eventually. And the way how we do that is, even if it's in a regular conventional savings account, it's fine. People keep harping on and trying to make you feel bad for not having a high yield savings account. It's okay. You got to start. And that's the main thing. Build the muscle. That's my goal, is to help you build that muscle, build the confidence so that you know where your money's at. So with that being said, put away $2 a day, $2 a paycheck. That's what, 28 paychecks in a year. My calculations are right. Let me double check. Because let's see, how many paychecks bi-weekly? Now, the reason why I'm saying bi-weekly is mostly because most people get paid on a bi-weekly basis. So it's 26 paychecks out the year. Let's see. So if it's 22 paychecks out the year, let me see if I can share my screen here so y'all can see my calculations. Let's see. I think Google does allow you to have a calculator. Yes, it does. Okay. All right. Let's see. Share my screen. Share my screen. Okay. So we're gonna do this live. Don't judge me on my calculations. All right. So see if we can zoom in on this. Get these numbers out. Okay, now I gotta see what it looked like on Instagram. Instagram is like quite a delay. I think it got me over this way. I just want to make sure that people that are watching on Instagram can see. Let me zoom out just a little bit. All right, so we got 26 paychecks out the year. And then we want to times that by how many dollars? We say we like even by $2 per paycheck. That will give us this $52 out the year. So if we got $52 out the year just for $2 saved, let's go ahead on and clear that out. So we understand we got $52, right? Now, say if we take that same 26 times that by, let's say, I don't know, you decide to put $10 away every paycheck. You already know. 260, right? So now that we understand that we can get $260 at the end of the year, just for putting $10 away. Now people are like, well, I like those lovely calculators that they already calculated everything out. Those savings challenges. Uh those are nice. However, the thing about it, not everybody are, I won't say that. How can I say this? Um they are nice in the sense of, yeah, you can track it that way. And it's like a nice little visual. You can make little fun games with them. I'm gonna see if I can share it. Yeah. So it's like you can do things, these little saving challenges, they're fun or whatever, save $20 challenge. But if you don't really have the numbers in front of you and that you actually doing it in a whole separate account and actually see the money grow, that's a different thing. Cause I don't like people telling you what you should do with your money. I want you to have that flexibility of knowing what it is. So we already talked about putting off that $10 a paycheck. Now, say like, you know what, you ain't got no kids, your money kind of fresh and you want to go forward. Let's do $100 times 26. This is easy numbers right now. You can do this yourself. So say if you got a cruise coming up, like this right here, $2,600 is a nice little vacation. You can take yourself on a vacation for like a week and really enjoy yourself. This is including the hotel, the flight, and something to eat, and also some of your excursions, depending on your excursions. Most of my excursions are free when I go out because, if I can't enjoy the free stuff, why should I pay to be entertained? I mean, it's nice sometimes to pay, but if you don't have to, don't worry about it. So I want you kind of think about that too. Now, so with $2,600, we're looking at $100 per paycheck. Now, this is on the light end. And some of y'all like, Anthony, I don't even got $100 to even give to myself. So let's talk about your tithing. If you tithe, you can also do tithing. If you give 10% to the church, you should be able to give 10% to yourself. So I want you to do a percentage base. I want you to focus on percentages. And so if your paycheck is $3,000, you want to times that by, was it 0.1? That's like, yeah, that's 10%. So if you can save your paycheck $300, meaning 3,000, pay yourself 10%, you're going to get $300 into your paycheck. Now, if you do that times 26, you can get yourself a nice little chunk of change so you can go ahead on and have that vacation. So this is the beauty of having spring cleaning, because now you're spring cleaning your income. I mean, not even your income's staying the same. We're not even talking about increasing your income. We just talking about trying to make sure you got some money somewhere. So take time out to really think about it. We got money to spend for next year if we're talking about spring cleaning now, and then we can go from there. So that was just ballpark. So say if your paycheck's only $1,000 times 0.1, that'll bring you up to $100 a paycheck. Take $100 a paycheck times that 26. Here we go again. Remember, you can get one vacation a year with this money that you save. Now, some of y'all be like, well, what about my emergency fund? What about, putting food on the table? What about all these other things? So, yes, I'm actually doing this from a 10% perspective, which is paying yourself first, which is goes with the book. Um, this is one of the books, which is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, who talks about it. Then there's a book. That's why I keep the Think and Grow Rich books together. Think and Grow Rich, The Black Choice. This is another book that um, that I particularly enjoy. See if I can move that out the way. Yeah. So Think and Grow Rich, The Black Choice is the book that I recommend a listen to read, as well as Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill to talk about that 10% savings. So, you know, I'm not just making this stuff up and I'm not just saying it just to be saying it. I really want you to have those vacations that you want to have. Um, in every book that I've read when it comes to finances, always talking about paying yourself first. And if they don't talk about pay yourself first, then that's an opportunity to go ahead on and return that book kindly and expeditiously, because that is something that you need to start thinking about. Not just your lifestyle. Yes, a lot of these things based on your lifestyle. A lot of the stories are based on their lifestyle. Um, what's it called? Because I just finished reading, not this one. Where is it? There we go. So I was reading Yaneli Espinal's book, and she was talking about how when she grew up in New York in the boroughs and going to the bodega and really, you know, learning about money and how she was actually growing up impoverished. And it wasn't until she started thinking about paying herself first, really taking initiative with her finances, that this is what brought her to where she's at today. So now she's actually fighting to bring financial education to your local school so that when your child is about to graduate high school, they have to take financial education. It's part of their curriculum. She's been doing this up and down the East Coast since I've been following her. Definitely had to get the book. I still got to get her on the podcast. Uh, if you listening, we got to get you on. We always catch up at conferences, but I think it's about time. I think I've known you for some time now. And yes, I do write in the books because I like to take notes, and then if I take the notes and then I'll share them with the actual author. So if you guys ever wonder, this whole shelf that's behind me, like the one that's like eye level for me, is our books from people that I've actually met in person, and I definitely had to get their book. Now, she did not sign this one because I ordered this one off Amazon, but I do plan to actually meet her in person again this year so she can sign it. Um, And Jamila Safront, definitely you got to give her a shout out because she's been the first podcast that I've actually ever listened to for personal finance. And especially as a woman, to be in the financial space, I had to give her props. And she's definitely talking about paying yourself first. So, with all these people talking about paying yourself first, and you're not talking about, and I'm talking about just saving that 10%, by all means, start saving 10%. You quit the tithe to a church, to an establishment. They getting their money, but you're not getting yours. And I want you to have yours. And I want you to go on those vacations. I want you to save your money. Now, this is just what I was just showing you. It's just raw savings. This is without any dividends. This is without any interest coming back to you. This is just straight raw cash. So at $2,600, if you make $1,000 a paycheck, that's putting away $100. At a percentages, if we look at percentages, we're only putting away 10%. So if you're making 1,400, let's go back on over to this little calculator. I want you to learn how to do this because I can sit up here and talk to you all day about this because I don't mind it. It's fun for me. Just get a basic calculator. Like people try to complicate this stuff. It's not that bad when they start talking about making this income. I want you to think about that. I'm just trying to see if anybody said anything on Instagram right now. Don't see anybody say anything. Okay, cool. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this. So for those of you who are listening to on Instagram, I'm going to end it for you guys, but for y'all um who are on YouTube and Twitch, y'all can stay on. All right, because it's like killing me over there. All right, so now that we got this, now I can actually put this as full screen. So, let's see. So even if you're making, let's say like your paycheck is $925 times 0.1. Don't ask me why is it so specific. 952. Actually, I did say 25, but 952. You put down $95.20 into your paying account. Make sure you do that. And then you take that times 26. The reason why I'm doing 26 is one whole year. I don't care when you start. And this is the reason why I came with the budget calendar, because the budget calendar is there because you can start anytime you feel like it. I hate those calendars where it's like, they got the actual numbers, the year, and not everybody start in January. Some people got life stuff happening, like they going through the divorce. They getting kicked out of their house. They just lost their job over Christmas break, or they just got rid of their part-time job, so that extra income isn't there. They not putting in as much as they could. They just had a child. They just lost a child. They just lost a parent. They just lost a loved one. They just lost a pet. So sometimes the finances just don't line up right for you to start your financial journey. However, I want you to start thinking about what is it that's causing you to not even put 10% into yourself. Invest the 10% in yourself. Even if you just put away the 10% to an account. Once you reach, I would say maybe 1,000, because you can even talk about your emergency fund versus your fund and so forth. So we can say this 10% can be your emergency fund. Start there. If you do the 10%, okay, cool. You did this for 1 year. Nice. And this is with a $952 paycheck. You did this for 1 year. Say you kept that and you did it again. You didn't get a pay increase. You didn't get anything. You did it again. Now you're sitting on about $5,000. $5,000 in 2 years just by putting away 10%. Now, some of y'all are like, man, I could use $5,000 right now. But because you haven't been putting that money away, this is something that I want you to think about. How can you make this make sense for you and your family so that you can get to where you need to be? Now, I know I'm really harping in on the basics, mostly because the basics work. If you don't master the basics, you will not be able to master some of the advanced things that you hear on the internet. As far as like buying a property. Okay, well, you bought a property and they would say put 10% down. Most people think, oh, yeah, well, I got 10%. You know what I'm saying? I got 10% down. Or they'll say put down 3.5% because you're doing the FHA, First Homeowners Association. And then because you're going through that program, you put down your 3.5%. Most people would think, well, I got just enough for the 3.5. Okay. Now you're living in a house, no furniture. You got walls. You got a TV, no stand. You got an air mattress, no air. You see where I'm going at? You got cereal, no milk. Make that make sense. So if you were to purchase a car the same way, think about it. If you put all your money that you have just as your down payment to buy a car, now you got to wait to your next paycheck just to pay the monthly payments. It doesn't work. So try to have more than that 3% that you're going to put down. Save the 10%. Then go in with the 3.5% because now you have extra money to take care of the repairs that come with the property. Who knows, you got to pay the property taxes right around the corner depending on when you purchased it. Because most property taxes are due twice out the year, usually in the spring and then one in the fall. If you don't know that, this be a good time to know. Also, you got to think about how much is the property taxes? Because you might got a property really cheap, but not realizing that the property taxes are about the same price as your mortgage. Then on top of that, you got to think about the daily utilities. How you going to feed yourself? Like all of this stuff add up that most people ignore when they talk about buying these properties and so forth. If you plan on getting stuff for your child, these are things to look into. What is it that you're missing? The next thing I want to discuss, I'll probably say this for next week. I want to talk about the ABLE account for people who are retiring, or not retiring, but it's a how can I say? It is a retirement avenue for people who have disabilities. So that's what I'm going to talk about next week. So stay tuned for that. I think I'm going to go down to end the show here. Thank y'all so much for the questions. Thank y'all for being here for my foolishness early on. And then also me just diving right into building that confidence, that competence, which is your education to read a book so that you can actually have the confidence in your finances so that you can take yourself to the next level. All right, everybody. Y'all be safe. I'm going to finish this red cup situation before I go to bed anyway. I'm out. Peace.